for a lot of people, in power now. It's, I've seen the t-shirts and stuff with the Superman and the big O on the chest and all of those insane things going on. So people are going to be blindsided, but they won't even know it.
Right.
That's the interesting part. They won't even know it. They're being ushered into a certain concept of reality, like the Pied Piper playing his pipe,
Yes.
and they're ushered in. So it's not like they're going to know. Who's going to know? Who will know about this are the people who have been scratching their heads and are willing to go ahead and take a chance and look and start to really open up that part of them to take a bigger look and see what's really going on before them.
Well,
So
exactly.
that's what I see.
Yes, exactly. Because also this I feel that this has been hijacked in that sense because it's a superficial change as well. Because as you say, if you scratch the surface here a little bit, we discover that it's the same old world order, if you will, then that is behind the new world order in that sense, and the same people are behind Obama, for instance, that was behind Clinton and even George W. Bush to some extent. So it's very skillful how they managed to pull this off in one sense, because I also feel that the change is it's spawned from a well-meaning position, so to speak, if we talk about the people here, because they do want to have something different. They do want to have this
Right.
change. They aspire to this, and that's a good thing in that sense. But they managed to steer this away, and now we're being, as you say, lulled into this next stage of this. And it's also interesting to hear that you mentioned that potentially technology and science is something that will advance during the next, candidacy here or something like that. We could potentially see a lot of legislative processes being taken care of that was in some form or another suppressed under George Bush. We'll see how this pans out, but I think that the whole area here as well also connects very much with the new, I guess, environmentalism and how this connects with the new age. And I guess that this is also something that you've been looking into. Correct, Sonia?
Yes, again, gosh, there's just so much to talk about. I mean, I'm not even scratching the surface on some of the things that I've seen and discovered. But as far as, the environmental movement, you said something a few minutes ago, and it's like people want change. You said that people want change, and it's amazing how they find a way to ride on the bandwagon of that.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing here. We dealt with the global warming thing, that's a whole other avenue, because it obviously it relates to this whole environmental situation. But let's step back a little bit. We had oh God, what's his name? Mr. Global Warming.
Al Gore.
Al Gore, right. Out of nowhere, all of a sudden, here comes this film. And it didn't really come just suddenly out of nowhere. When we start tracing it back and see the implementation, the planning that had gone into structuring this whole new environmental movement, or as they refer to it as spiritual ecology. You had minds meeting, going as far back as this is with Stephen Rockefeller, I believe.
Right.
He set up, he was a primary organizer of an interfaith conference on spirit and nature. And then they formed the Center for the Study of World Religion at Harvard University. Now, all of this, you had various representatives from various religious sects that got together, and so that they could plan what the best way was to insert this new environmental religion to the people. How could we do this? Well, then finally, here comes the film, Global Warming. There is nothing that has assisted in bringing this one world religion, as far as the environmental process, to the people like that film. That film certainly kicked it off. And then from there, here comes making more money somehow. Although, you hear the companies going, yeah, we're going green, everybody's going green. At first, I thought it was really nice. Then I started to look at everybody, including myself at one point, how easily we get ushered into the next thing. And suddenly, here's everybody on board with this thing. And it just didn't feel right to me. Something was just very off about it.
Yeah.
The whole control process, anyway, so you've got all these corporations say they're going green, but somehow, which you can't go into all of that, obviously not enough time to do that, but somehow when you do your research, you see all the monies that are being made and all the various things that are really being inserted around it. And it was all based on playing on the minds of the people in a guilt manner, in the process, in the idea of the manner in which we are handling the planet. Not that we've been doing a good job,
That's
but
true.
the whole idea was to get people to feel guilty. And when they slip one thing in, they slip something else in. So here we are. Now we're on this thing. We got the change thing going, where everybody's all on board with that. And then we got the environmental thing going. And what was the other thing? There was another thing I was going to tell you. There's a couple of things, about 3 things that they have going that everybody is seems to be jumping on the bandwagon for, and it'll come back to me. It'll come back to me later on. But yes, that it's definitely a real scary process about how we jump on quite so easily.
Absolutely, and in many cases also we're being told that, again, I've mentioned this on the program before, of course, but this is the idea that it's the little guy that is taking the blow here, so to speak. We hear so rarely about how the military industry, is contributing, if you will, to the polluting of the world and so forth, and we hear very rarely about industry, large industry, military wars, things like this, of this nature, and we are being blamed for something now, and we're going to make the changes. Although, with that being said, I do see that something good actually can come out of this, even though we are being manipulated into this. Personally, I'm all for, why not drive a freaking, electric car or what have you,
That's true. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's how they slide that stuff in, is because they give you some good stuff.
Sure.
And then they slip in the other stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the we are one.
Yeah.
The we are one concept. They took the we are one concept, which was obviously, yes, true. And ultimately, as we said earlier, there is ultimately one source, one force, even though, yes, we are acting as individuals, the illusion of individualism, but at the same time, we are individuals, because that's the only way, we can have the diverse experiences. But they took that whole New Age thing and then started to create a group mind thinking. Now that is really interesting. They're moving people into a whole way of the group mind thinking in schools and children.
Yes.
You know what that does to you? It takes away your ability to really construct ideas as an individual without having to feel secure with matching whatever the collective thought process is. And that is what is going on. So what you end up having is a lot of, again, learned or programmed responses. It's just a lot of additional programming of how you're going to think and act. And everybody, you hear people running around, groups, this, we have to, work together. So they're very clever as to how they're able to do that, take that and shift it, because people really want to work together, but they don't realize how that's also being used against them, and especially where our children are concerned. It's just very, very deep. It's very, very big. And there was another thing I wanted to say to you about that. I've talked about, you know, channeled information. I was probably one of few people, I mean, for several years ago, started to talk about that. I was writing about that. And I know a lot of people probably weren't really happy with me with, you know, in talking about that. But I looked at the increase in channeled information, and I'm bringing it up because it all relates